So Jane and I have to go about 10 minutes early. So pretty accomplished.
I have no idea how long. I've got a script of all the things I'll go through. So what I won't cover is the Zendesk guide, which is a whole product suite inside Zendesk, which is the knowledge base. And I won't be talking about Zendesk Chat, which is another widget inside the Zendesk suite of products. We have fiddled with it, not in a production way, but just as I think that was Christmas Eve 2016, we turned it on StaffNet and just had a fiddle. So the way we have it set up inside the digital team / website team is if you email Group Web Center, one of the people inside Group Web Center is support at digital. Oh, that's bad news. It might be right. That is one of the people who is a member of that group. In addition, we have other inboxes that you can use, but they barely get used. And then we also have a custom web form built inside Survey Gizmo, which you can get to through that short URL. And that goes through Zapier, which is like an integration engine, to then create a ticket using all of the metadata from the form in Zendesk. Zendesk also, you can submit tickets to Zendesk via online chat, SMS messages, Facebook and Twitter, what they call their form system, the Zendesk widget, and there's a whole bunch of customization you can do with that, but we found it was just simpler if we used the form tool we're used to, Survey Gizmo. There's also an API and an SDK.
So just to clarify, Matt, those email addresses you were talking about there, they are generated from the system when you set this up, right? So your support groups automatically have an email address associated.
Yeah, so we can create some new ones right now. I'm just going to check my battery.
Just this short URL is actually just changed with the restructure.
Oh,
so instead of DigiWork, it's website.
Sorry, I just need to make sure my battery doesn't die. Okay, so now we'll jump into the tool and I've just got a list of all the features that we'll go through. Okay, so user types. So, users of Zendesk, stand by. There can be end users, agents, and then agents can be inside groups. So groups are like the resolver groups. If we look at groups, we can see the resolver groups that exist already inside our system. So we had a StaffNet one, that's digital team, which is everyone in what was the digital team, digital developers, Google Tag Manager, non-developers, Survey Gizmo admin, web producers, but you could imagine you could have as many resolver groups as you want. Anyone who's ever emailed Group Web Center in the last 3 years will be represented as a end user in here. And end users, we've never told people this, but they have the ability to create an account and log in and see all of the tickets they've ever submitted to us. We don't really tend to tell people about that because, well, we haven't. Maybe it would be useful, but it's not been an essential thing.
So, like, someone emails, so that user automatically added to the system?
That's right. So going back to the diagram here. So it's going super slow. If you email Group Web Center, by definition, it creates a ticket inside Zendesk. So anyone who has ever emailed Group Web Center over the last 3 years will have a user account in there.
The end users.
An end user account, yeah.
Do you know if it could integrate, say, with Active Directory?
Yes, it definitely could, yeah. And that we'll get to that at the end, which is the tiers of licensing for the product. So if you pay a lot of money, you can connect it to your Active Directory. Well, not a lot of money. If you upgrade your membership, you can click it in. But the trick with well, we'll get to that at the end, but the trick with cloud services is I don't think you can't upgrade some users and not upgrade other users. It'll end up being you're now on the high tier for 15,000 people, so it can end up being expensive. That's how cloud services kind of get you. So agent types. So say you are an agent, there will be different permission levels inside an agent account. And so you can see here we've got admins, owners, and agents, and that will have different permission levels to set up different things and control different stuff. And then you have organizations. So organizations can be organizations in the plain English sense of the word. So I think we have, so free parking is a domain registry that we have some domains registered with, and so we have it set up that anyone, and that's will be support at freeparking.co.nz, but anyone else like Jimmy at freeparking.co.nz, that's all considered one organization, and then we can set up rules for organizations. So if organization free parking submits a ticket, automatically assign tickets from this organization to this person. We also have
typically applications supported by third parties, for example.
Yeah. But we also we've at times we've set up business units inside the council as organisations as well. If you were doing this across the entire organisation, that would be a no-brainer. We've only done it when there were particular situations where particular business units either wanted us to proactively check whether we were getting any kind of funnies. If there's a restructure, they would be worried that odd requests might be coming through to the website, and just to keep an eye across all of the things. So we would take a list of all the people in that business unit, create the organisation. That just gives you a view where you can see everything coming through. And then we've done the same for city consenting and compliance, so that we can, as part of the one-stop shop thing, see whether all of the tiny little requests, whether some of them aren't actually tiny little requests, that they're actually overlapping with the bigger, larger change project. That's how we've done it.
So if new staff came and stuff, you've got to manually...
Well, we do it manually because we don't pay for the higher tier of account, but if you paid for the higher tier, this would just be connected to your Active Directory and it will be automatic. The way we've governed our use of the tool has been pretty ad hoc because our number of agents has been approximately 12 across the time period we've used it. So this is the homepage where you can see my tickets. So you can see that there are 3 open tickets assigned to me. Okay, and then we have a thing called views. So views are different ways of viewing all the tickets inside the system, and there are 2 kinds of views. There are universal views where you force everyone to see the universal views, so everyone must see the universal views, and then you can have personal views, so a view that I create for me because I want to see the tickets in a particular way. So you can see, I have a view of Rudy's unsolved tickets, and I can't remember what purpose that was, but it would have been I wanted to specifically see Rudy's unsolved tickets. And everyone doesn't need to see Rudy's unsolved tickets, just me. But all of these views up here are universal ones, and you can, I think the way they are ordered is universal, so everyone will be seeing the web producers queue first. Views.
How does it present if you're looking at, can you get graphs and things?
Yeah, so there's actually, when I said I wasn't going to talk about Zendesk Guide and Zendesk Chat, there's actually another whole branch of Zendesk, which is Zendesk Analytics. You get some good analytics with the basic account, but there's a whole other branch of the product, which is analytics, which you would pay for separately. But I'll show you we'll jump to the graphs now because that wasn't actually on my list of. So this is the really basic stuff that you get, which is new tickets, solved tickets, and probably leaderboard. What are we going to see here? Blaze, smashing it. Time to first reply. You can, so that's his satisfaction. You can turn on, CSAT or NPS type stuff to automatically survey people after they've done tickets. We don't use that. Knowledge base we do use, but we don't promote it heavily, so it's more for internal use. So we're in knowledge base still. Ticket spreadsheet. So yeah, you're getting a bunch of analytics, but if I'm honest, the basic analytics you get, you don't have the ability to dig down and get good insights and intelligence out of it. You actually kind of need to pay for that, and we don't. But we have at fixed periods of time, so we would turn up our account for 1 month, extract all the data, analyze it, and then turn the account back down. And again, that's what you do when you have 12 people in a P card. Okay, so that was anatomy of a ticket. So let's jump into. I don't have very interesting tickets here, so let's find a more interesting ticket. Do you have a good one recently, Jane?
No, you can look at mine, it's fine, but,
Oh, I know. We'll jump to one of Peter's actually, because so first we'll do. There's 2 parts: anatomy of a ticket and anatomy of a user. So let's find. So here are all the Peters that have emailed Group Web Centre over the last 3 years.
Good photo.
I put Peter's photo up yesterday, but you could, again, if it was connected to Active Directory. And so, again, we can see these are all of the tickets that Peter has ever sent to Group Web Centre over the last 3 years. And so if we jump in, so we're looking at Peter, we can see that Peter is an end user. We can see what access he has. We can see his primary email account, but we can merge that with more accounts. We can see which organizations we believe he's a member of. We can tag the person. And I think you can add an endless amount of customized metadata for users. So as an example, we've added in the past, for the one-stop shop thing, we added team and position so that you could keep track, is this person inside City consenting and compliance? Again, that could be automated if you connected it to Active Directory. But my understanding is you can add as many custom fields for users as you like. So if we then jump into, I don't know which of these is going to be interesting, but the anatomy of a ticket. So you've got so what we're looking at here is the conversation in reverse chronological order. And so you can see that this was Peter's original request.
Thank you, Peter.
and yeah, you can see Hesida was CC'd in. And you can see the chronological order of events. You can also switch it to the chronological order of conversations. You can actually then switch it to events as a kind of audit feature to see who did what when. And if, for whatever reason, you believe that Anna wasn't Anna, you can actually see the device that the person was on to, well, I mean, I'm not exactly sure when you would need that, but you're getting all the details about who's doing it, where apparently she's in Australia, so that IP address. Anyway, so, and conversations, so this is a closed ticket. Let me just jump to an open ticket.
you could show advanced search and show my open, that's helpful.
Advanced, sorry.
So if you go to search, there's can go to advanced, so you can then find by filters. So then on the right hand,
I've never used this.
pick assign me
As in me, or you?
if you want. Then a status open. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Are any of these long? Or do any of these have internal comments?
That's
This
top
one, oh, the top one? Okay. Okay, here we go. So you can see that the normal white text goes to the customer, and then you can have internal comments which just go to agents are yellow. So you can see the chronological thread where Jane's essentially keeping notes on the job for internal use. And you can see that she's also tagging other users so that they're notified that they've been mentioned in the thread. You can also, we'll get to that soon. Conversations, user memory. Macros. So you can set up macros So imagine this person was saying, imagine a user said, I have created a Word document of frequently asked questions that I would like you to upload to the website. I think that people should know all of these things. And so what we would respond with is the macro for FAQs, FAQ pages, and so it's just preloaded responses to specific things that you're manually injecting. So it's not automated, it's a macro, and the macros don't have to just be text, they can be assigned to blah and close to blah and notify blah. So there's a whole raft of macros you can set up. I'm just going to delete this. What's that?
I'm glad you don't like it.
Yeah, no, I think that's something that we have in common, that people think they want FAQs, but they're never frequently, they're not frequently asked.
And there's often a spin on the,
Absolutely.
they do the answer or the information of what they want to communicate.
That is
and then
exactly
make
right. Yes, they should be retitled Questions We Wished People Cared About. So you can see here are the macros that exist, and this is the process for adding a macro. And you can see in here the actions, all of these things. You can, just triggers if this, then that. Macros.
We also have set up for our signatures.
Yeah. Okay, so jumping back to integration with other applications. So because Zendesk is software as a service and it's engineered with API thinking first. It's 3 clicks away from integrating it into Trello and Slack and all these other tools that we use. Stand by. And so you can see that this Zendesk ticket is connected to a Trello card. And when we're over in Trello, we can see that this Trello card is connected to the Zendesk ticket, and that both sides are pulling through the relevant snippet of information from the other side.
Are you paying for Trello as well?
Yes, but you could integrate it while not paying for it. You can do it on the free account of Trello.
You just limited users.
What's that?
Limited users, I think.
It's limited integrations with applications, so I think you can integrate 1 or 2 or 3 applications for free.
Okay.
So you could technically integrate Zendesk for free with Trello for free, but that would be about all you'd be doing on both things. So you can see here, once it loads, very slowly, still loading. There we go. So you can see that the Zendesk ticket still loading. It's the associated entity in the other system is just pulled through. So both sides can see what the other one is doing. Yes. Yes, exactly. You can also see related tickets, and that could be tickets that are similar, or it could be parent tickets or child tickets over here, though I'm not sure we're going to run into any if we go, I think this one. So Jono and Rudy have been experimenting with using some tickets as epics inside Zendesk, and then having child tickets inside Zendesk of user stories or tasks that make up the parent. So you can see in here, once it slowly loads over my phone, there. So this this ticket that we're on now is the parent for all of these child tickets, and so all of these tickets are related to this parent. And this, but you could imagine that could be incidents relating to a problem or whatever it is.
There is a type that's incident, so and then like statements which you just report them as problems.
Yeah, or vice versa. Yeah. So again, just to show the integration, so this is inside Slack. We've integrated Slack and Zendesk as well. So, and this is, I'm not sure you'd ever want to do this, but though you could imagine a parallel universe where you might want to do this, you can add a Zendesk create ticket. So I'm inside Slack, I'm not inside Zendesk, and now I'm creating a ticket for Zendesk from inside Slack, but you could imagine that being any other and so then we can see the details here, and in the exact same way, if we link to this ticket inside Slack, because they're integrated, it will pull through metadata about it straight into the application.
Can you delete tickets?
You can delete tickets, and I don't know what the audit trail would look like when you delete tickets. Generally, people would be closing tickets, but there is actually, I bet you that is related to user permissions, and that it's probably admins who can delete tickets. Yeah. So just tidy this up. But often, so the tickets that I delete would be when we're automatic notifications from things like domains saying your domain is up for renewal, blah blah blah. That's actually a job to be done, but if they send you several dozen in a week, it's just a mess. So Zendesk and Trello, Zendesk and Slack, Trello and Zendesk. You can imagine they, like all of these things, the way that they're engineered, if it's a good modern cloud API-based thingy-madoodle, then they should just be elegantly interacting with each other. This is something obvious, but I didn't know about it until last night when I was going through the features that you can... so right now we're on WCC Digital.Zendesk.com. You could map it all to support.wellington.gov.nz by simply putting that in there and setting your DNS. So that would be one DNS request away from mapping it all so that it elegantly sat in a different place. Setting up different email inboxes. So you can see here we have support, we've got devs, we've got Google Tag Manager, new search. So when we were replacing the Google search clients, we set up new search, and any problem, and we gave this to the contact center, that if they ran into any dramas with the new search, that they would email that. So that is I think there's an unlimited number of emails that you can set up, and then in parallel with that, you would set up a trigger. So if someone emails this inbox, then automatically assign it to this resolver group. So as an example, GTM, no one's ever done it, but if anyone ever wants to publish a piece of code via Google Tag Manager, they would email Google Tag, and let us do that now actually, let us. Because it's going to do several things here, which are all triggers that we've set up. So what that's going to do, because I've emailed it to Google Tag Manager, it will auto-assign it to the, we go to views, the GTM queue, hopefully. There we go. So it's assigned it to that queue, and it's probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, also, or in the next few minutes, it will ping this Slack channel to say, we've had a request come in for Google Tag Manager, and there's, for the first time in history, there's now something sitting in the Google Tag Manager queue. And so, because the worry is you never look at some queues you might not ever look at because the phone never rings. but then you can put the notification into the place where the eyes are. And I can't remember if we didn't turn this on or it's not working at the moment, or it might have a 5-minute delay or something like that. Triggers, automations. So this is something we don't use much, but obviously slightly more proactive than macros and triggers are automations. So you could, if you wanted, close very old tickets. So if the ticket hours since open is greater than 1,000 and the ticket's type is question, then ticket status closed. And so we could do that and automatically retire all of those things. I'm not going to do that because I have no idea whether we have 1,000 or 0 that meet that condition. The Zendesk app. So sometimes, it's come through. There we go, it's coming through. Just to show that it is working, there. So this is notifying a group inside Slack. It's saying, attention, Google Tag Manager moderators, a new ticket has been received from blah with the title blah. You can view the GTM code here. So it's connecting everything together. So it's saying, some people might not be in Zendesk very often, so you have to go to where they are, and they're probably in Slack or whatever the Slack channel is, the right place is. Okay, and then the Zendesk app. So on my phone I have the Zendesk app. So let us go to the... And essentially it's free, you download it and you get Zendesk on your phone. And it behaves broadly as you would expect a good app to behave. And you can do most things pretty easily that you do on the desktop version. And then the second to last thing is the marketplace. So a lot of the integrations that I've shown, I think, have not been set up inside Zendesk, but inside the other applications to say, hey, Trello, connect with Zendesk, or hey, Slack, connect with Zendesk. But you can also use Zendesk to connect to other things. And if I'm honest, I don't completely understand when one uses the API in that direction or the API in that direction. But you can scroll through here and see that there are a lot of apps that you can connect to. So 764. There'll be some that you recognize, such as, Qualtrics is like a very common analytics platform. Slack is a common messaging platform, but we can narrow it down to be, we'll probably see tools we recognize. Trello, Intercom, anyway, as you can imagine, any other modern API-driven software as a service, you'll find it in here and you can integrate with it. And the trick is, once you move all of your applications to cloud, SaaS, API stuff, then all of a sudden they all just talk to each other. And a lot of these things say free, but then some of them, this is again how to become bankrupt quickly using software as a service. So if we wanted to become bankrupt using Zendesk, what we would do is we would create accounts for everyone in the council, so 1,500 people. We would turn the dial up to the highest premium boutique level of account inside Zendesk, and then we would start clicking these things that say $50 per account per month. So $50 per month times 1,500 people, And that's how we go bankrupt very quickly using software as a service. And we've been pretty lucky that we haven't, because sometimes our approach has been, if in doubt, give it a try for 29 days, as in anything, not that particular thing. And I think almost never have we left a thing ticking over, but also we're protected because worst case scenario, we've only got 12 people. So the harm you can do is pretty minimal. But you can imagine that's where you need, when it changes drastically from going from 12 people to hundreds of people, you need someone carefully managing this stuff. But again, if it's well managed, we should err on the side of trying fixed scope experiments for particular integrations. And then pricing is the last part. Stand by. So if I want to change, again, this is when you've got 12 people on software as a service. You can change the amount that you're paying per month by, 20% if 2 people leave. You can then downgrade the account by those 2 people. And that requires manual intervention. So essentially, I've always just added it to my to-do list when on the exit checklist. I also have turn off any software as a service that the person is using when they leave. And so you can come in here and you can see this is our subscription. Is we have 13 agents on the team tier. So that's the level of account we use, which I think is probably second to cheapest. Not the cheapest, but the second cheapest. So 13 people, the annual cost is $3,000 for 13 people. We turned on chat for a fixed period of time, so that's actually 3 agents, and that won't be $500 because we actually just did it for 1 month, so we'll turn that back off and it will only be 1/12 of $500.
So if you've got a license for 13 agents, but is it working at the same time? Is it at the name level or what?
So we can see in here who those 13 are, and so I just actually tidied it up last night. So we had 13 agents.
Named account, isn't it? And concurrent.
Yes. Yeah, and so you can see here are we're using, this is where again where they get you, we're paying for 13, but we're only using 11. Last night we were using 13, so I turned off 2 accounts that were no longer used much, but they'll happily keep charging you for the 13 until you come in here and click manage, and it takes 5 minutes to load the next page, and I'm pretty sure that's by design. And then you have to click the drop-down menu to say not 13, now 11, and they'll say, great, that'll take us 3 weeks to process that change, thanks.
So if you start leaving, you get in the bags.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is there's spillage? I don't know what the right word is. Like, you pay for a bit more than what you use, but the trick is to stay on top of it.
Generally, though, these sites don't charge you.
That's right. There's
true.
Yeah.
They just stop charging.
Yeah.
That spillage is 1 month. Generally, they get a contract exit.
It is. Yeah, I joke, but the billing part of Zendesk is the slowest part of Zendesk. It really grinds. It doesn't. Everything else works perfectly. The billing part is. I mean, the interface is still nice, but it's super slow, and you often find yourself reloading. But in their defense, this could be my phone. And I'll just pull up Zendesk pricing, and it'll also show the what the different levels get. So here you can see that Essential, so we're on team, so we're paying $19 per agent per month, because we're paying annually for that one. And you can see that I think to connect it to Active Directory, stand by. Anyway, it's either professional or enterprise. I can't remember. There you go. There's Net Promoter Score, Jane. So as an example, we could use it for Net Promoter Score, but we actually just use another completely unrelated software as a service tool for measuring CSAT on the website, and that one we have one account for because we don't want to be paying. If we wanted CSAT or Net Promoter Score on the website, we don't want to have to. This is where software as a service doesn't make much sense. We don't want to have to pay for that privilege for 12 users because we're only actually really doing it with one person. So we use Delighted, which is a completely unrelated tool for CSAT measurement. So we're paying for one account monthly with Delighted. Well, I mean, maybe, I think that there's the other thing, which is the Zendesk, so we're looking at support right now, which is the help desk management, but there's also the analytics thing, and I suspect that it could also be a feature in a different product, which is the analytics piece. So that is all the things that I was going to cover. And it's also worth saying that I didn't know what, I think I've said this several times over the last 2 weeks, I didn't know what ITIL was 3 years ago, so we've essentially just invented it as we went along. But over time you realise actually what we're doing is very normal and everyone else does it everywhere else, but just on different tools.
Inbuilt SLA measurement installation?
As in measuring our performance or measuring Zendesk's performance?
I think what you were alluding to is the workflow.
Workflow.
Yeah, so it's very difficult in Zendesk to build one.
Right.
If you can build it, you can monitor it in analytics, but it's not the easiest thing.
I'm not familiar with the product at all.
Yeah, I've got a trial version.
The other thing, if you just go back to Zendesk when you were one of the screens, here.
Sorry, you go.
Yeah, so Sunshine, so that is the new CRM product. Stick to a demo of it. And then you'll be able to see everything across the organisation and everything. But the other thing is that you can use tags, so you can create views on tags and triggers. So the triggers, for example, we have one if anybody sees something with staff people put through in it, we just say, oh, it looks like you're looking at this. Go off to these guys. And the web form integration, showing
How it actually works. And
well, not so much how it works, but what it looks like. So that short URL that Matt referred to in his slide, that's the web form request. So that has a zap that pushes it into Zendesk, and they're just easily identified. They look in a particular way in Zendesk. Then I just go to Zendesk for that and just pick me or anybody.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Pick me or,
sorry, you want tickets related to you?
I just wanted to show a set of the tickets. So
Sure.
So this is one that's confirmed with the web form.
And you can see that immediately because it has it's got a number at the front.
Yep,
It's got a space hyphen space topic space hyphen space title.
If you click on it, you scroll down.
There you go.
That's that one.
Yeah.
Go right down.
Right down.
There you go. So it looks ugly, all right, but whatever. But so these are all the fields in the form that have come through, and so they're in the highlighted bit, so we can easily see at a glance what they want to, basically.
And it's the Zapier Zap. Sorry, that Zapier calls integration Zaps. So the Zapier Zap that is running on the form is extracting these values and making them tags and metadata values associated with the ticket. That's right, AJ.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand how it worked until I logged into Zap. Yeah. Yeah. And I can't remember why we ended up using Zapier.
High priority ones. So if somebody submits a course that a high priority, that actually comes into that not only can see but into our individual effects to see between us.
Given what you're telling me about is there much opportunity for self-service?
Okay, so now we're breaking out of the scope that I promised that would stay within. But no, it's good. Let's bust through it. So,
Matt, I've got to run.
Sure,
Because I've
yep.
got to get to DD this week.
of course, yep. So, no worries. So you can set it up. So we have something called Zendesk Guide, which is the knowledge base. So if we jump in,
Which would be like so.
yeah, it's exactly like Soak. That's right. And so you can set it up.
Both is good, confidence. What do you feel?
Yeah.
So you could imagine that Rebecca in internal comms said, "I'd like to add." Well, no. Say someone wanted to add crazy egg click tracking to a page on the main website. They probably wouldn't ask for it because they don't know they can ask for it. But imagine we got a request that came in that said, we'd like crazy egg. So what you could do is auto-detect the phrase crazy egg and say, hang on, before you submit that ticket, is this what you're asking for? And redirect them to the knowledge base so that they can self-serve themselves. So it assumes several things. A, that you have a knowledge base. B, that the words that the person is using can be mapped to the words that are in the knowledge base. But all of those things, I think, it's something that we haven't done a lot of. We've done a little bit of
I don't
it.
think it's done about Carol, but from if someone, there's a lot of things that, well, think of your download and install of a program.
Mm-hmm.
For us, there's the potential simply to offer a smorgasbord. You click on the app you want and install.
Yep.
So you direct them. You get a request saying, can I please have this app? And you say, maybe it's in the store. Click here if you want to have a look.
Yep.
And they just go and download.
Yep.
So it does do that sort of thing. That's essentially what we're trying to do. So it can respond to what people ask for and offer. Maybe you can serve yourself here.
That's right. And the thing that we haven't done much of is, so it definitely wouldn't work on our bespoke request form because there's no way of intercepting that before they submit. But if they were doing it via a online chat, so you can have it so it's automated before they submit a ticket, and so they're chatting, and it's spewing out recommendations of knowledge base articles, and then you give them the option of saying this is not what I'm looking for, and then it directs you to a human being, or it says or submit a ticket now. We'll get back to you.
I honestly think that we have products that are basically a button and we can review
Mhm.
like